Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of Know Better, Do Better. I'm your host, Mr. Ray Leonard Jr., and today I have the phenomenal actress, playwright, director, Regina Taylor here. Regina, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. Such a pleasure to be talking with you.
Awesome. And you've had such a phenomenal career. And so, as everybody knows here on Know Better, Do Better, we'd love to talk about, the career and successes of everybody, but we also like to talk about, the journey to get there because it's always easy to see somebody at the top of their the game and say, okay, here, that was easy to get there, or they got here and they don't have any struggles or any issues. But that's never the case. It's always a journey in the path. And the path is what makes it better. So I built this show off what my grandfather told me years ago, and he said, "When you know better, do better." And that was a Maya Angelou quote from back in the day. But I didn't understand what it meant until years and years later. And once I figured it out, I said, "Okay, here, I just want to be 1% better every day. I want to try to be the best me every single day that I represent myself." So
Yes.
when you started out as a young lady, and born in Dallas, Texas. I told everybody knows that I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. So they're like, okay, you might be a little biased over here. What was at what age did you figure out here you wanted to be an actress? You wanted to start
Oh,
films and on stage. Like what was that immediate or was it a journey that you started with?
that was a journey. I started out as a writer and I started writing from before I can even remember, may have been 4 years old, writing children's books. That's what my mother taught me. She was a teacher, how to dream, how to um, create your own narrative in this world because a lot of times people want to name you in this world.
Mm,
You feel empowered then to write your own narrative, placing in these children's books a little black child, little black girl, brown skinned girl with pigtails in the center of that narrative, imagining worlds. That was the greatest gift I think my mother gave me. And it was very purposeful how to survive. She called it a survival tool, learning how
mm,
to write, to go from dreaming to scheming, strategizing, hard work, determination, tenacity, to make those dreams concrete. That was very purposeful from her. So I thought I was going to be a journalist, to write some novels and be a journalist, something that I felt was practical and attainable. I went to college, Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas,
mm.
and that's what I took. Majored in English and journalism. I took an I took a class, acting 101, because a counselor said it was an easy A, fill out a credit, and I fell in love with it. In the same way I love books, I love writing. Is that you can submerge yourself into someone else's shoes, skin, see through their eyes, their perspective. This world whirls. You can time travel beyond gender, beyond race. You become the other person as you're journeying with books, with writing, and then with acting to give myself to these spirits, channeling them. I went, wow, this is really exciting. And I was very shy. So this really kind of, I was able to break through quite a bit in the acting, public acting. So that was exciting. I had fun. Um,
Well,
Henry Fonda was, mhm, sorry.
no, I know. I was going to go back to because I wanted to keep your mindset as a young girl in the
Yeah.
South, and you're writing, and you're a novelist, and you're using your imagination to create things out of nothing.
Yeah.
And back in the time where it was like, hey, you can't do these things. Like acting was a maybe
Mhm.
a few of us that were in the acting scene that were lead people or doing it. I remember meeting James Baldwin back when I was a kid. And he told me, he said, writing is the key to opening up your imagination and possibilities. And it was such an eye-opening thing to me. And so when you had a pen, like I always talk about, the greatest thing about being present in the moment to tell your story is knowing that there's more to write. And you are the master of your destiny when you're writing with the pen. So tell us a little bit more about that, because I know there's some aspiring writers or young ladies out here that think that it's too tough a road, and that the imagination that they have cannot lead them to the successes that they want to have. So talk a little bit more about that, about why that was important to you.
Well, I think it is to crack open your creativity and to understand that anything is possible. Where you find no way, you can make a way with creativity. It is very practical in that, for instance, my grandmother had 9 kids, worked at the Adolphus Hotel in the kitchen. She had $9 to feed her children for the next week before the next payday.
Wow.
You have to think creatively.
Right, absolutely.
And you have to make a way out of no way. There are tools to do that. One, a disposition, an understanding that you can uh, always is one perspective, and that was what was given me. Uh, that you can think outside the box, outside the margins. You can free yourself through this. And with this, whether you want to be a writer, whether you want to be an actor, whether you want to be an accountant, whether you want to be a teacher, you need to have some creativity and access to and belief in your imagination and your dreams. Uh, I think anyone wanting to be successful at anything, that's the key. That is a key.
Wow. And so you started your path in writing, then you end up going to college at SMU. And had anybody else in your family gone to college before that, or were you kind of the first person to do that?
But my mother was the first one to go to college, and uh, she went to college at Wiley College. There's Wiley College. You remember the great debaters
Yes,
with
yes,
Mr.
wonderful.
Washington? She went to that college in Texas. It was a bus ride away, about an hour away from Dallas, Texas. And she went with one suitcase and a roll of quarters that my grandmother had saved up for her.
Wow, wow. I can imagine my oldest daughter went to college, and then my son, and my oldest son, he's at Grambling State University now. He just went there. I can imagine trying to send him some luggage and a roll of quarters. He wouldn't know what to do. But there was a resilient culture, resilient people,
Yes,
back then. And so
you have purpose and you will find a way to meet purpose, was her belief.
love
And
it.
that's what she passed on to me.
Love it. You said you found your love of acting, in college, when the professor told you this is an easy A,
Mhm.
or your advisor told you this is an easy A, and now you got Golden Gloves and NAACP awards, 2-time Emmy nominee. So, did you think that easy A was going to lead you into the career path that you're in right now?
No, not at all. It began with that class. I had fun in the class. I thought this was a way for me to feel more comfortable speaking publicly.
Mm,
And then that led to Henry Fonda was at the school, happened to be at the school.
wow.
He was filming a live broadcast of a play, uh, The Oldest Living Graduate, and he was walking down the hall in the Arts Center, And I started following him, too shy to say hello. And his agent saw me stalking Henry Fonda. And she said, "Who are you?" And she said, she asked if I was an actress. And I said, "Sure." And she said, "Well, there's this audition this weekend. Do you want to go?" I said, "Okay." And she said, "It's off the freeway, Motel 6 this Saturday.
Oh,
Show
no.
up at 3 o'clock." And I said, "Okay," but I'm no fool. So I brought my the biggest cousin, uh, Philip, at that time. And he drove me there. I made up a resume, fake resume, and took a Polaroid and went in the room and I got the job. And it was CBS Movie of the Week starring Joanne Woodward about the first nine Black students to integrate the Arkansas school system. So I played
Wow.
a real person, Minnie Jean Brown, who was part of that group. Got on a plane for the first time in my life that summer to Arkansas and did that film. Um, Came back, changed my major. Everybody was all up in arms, thinking I lost my mind. Uh, my dad was like, "You're not going to be a lawyer."
Yeah, that
No,
that
never
is
told
my thinking too.
I was never planned. I was supposed to be a journalist, but no. I continued to write, but then I started writing plays, and I started studying then acting. Uh, Graduated, went to New York, and starred for a while.
Wow, wow. So happenstance, you're following Harry Fonda, and he says, "Come to the Motel 6 audition." Now you can't write that. That is a story you cannot write. Come to Motel 6, you audition and hit the show, and then you're traveling to first time on an airplane, and then you're acting for the first time.
Yeah.
That has to be in your blood. I mean, there's some people that have a gift for certain things, and so like my wife told me years ago that here you can be a great speaker, and I was like, nah, I'm too shy. I don't like to speak in in front of audiences unless it's like it's funny because I can speak in front of 10,000 people with no problem, but it's like 20 people and I got anxiety issues.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's sometimes like you're on a big stage. It's okay, I feel at home. So what was that like when you got there and started preparing for your first acting role that you didn't really have any acting experience for?
Yeah, kind people. Joanne Woodward was very kind. The other actors in the piece, Calvin Levels, um, uh, they were all the director, all just giving me tips and encouraging and supporting. And somehow, I did some. Um, in high school some recitation of some poems.
Now you're gonna have everybody did a poem in high school, like, okay, maybe I can be an actor.
It gave me some good tips as to what you need to do for the camera. And I was an eager and receptive student. Um, yeah, I did some preparation, reading up on it, and with the teacher too, my first acting teacher too. I did some preparation for it before I
Mhm.
got there, but it was mainly intuition, instinct, um, something innate, meeting purpose. I think. Uh, that happened with that first job.
So once you got the job, you performed, went back to school, and then
I
inevitably.
had no clue what I was doing. I didn't know.
But inevitably you start getting the critics, and people start critiquing your work. You had the John O'Connors of the world, the people that were like saying, here, this is what you did. Did you start reading your early critiques, or did you just say, okay, here, I did this, and this is a starting point?
Oh, I didn't know how to receive what I was receiving. I was very still going, who are they talking about? Kind of a separation, um, because I was not a personality. My personality was not the personality necessarily of a celebrity, an actor, maybe, not a celebrity. A writer, yes, the personality of a writer. I was an introvert. And so even people coming up to me when I had my uh, first major breakthrough where people actually recognized me was with I'll Fly Away. And I
Mhm.
remember being um, in Atlanta, Georgia, is where we shot. And it was just about going to the set, working, and uh, I was a lead in that. So I was working 17 hours a day, and then I'd sleep. So I didn't go out much. And then when we had our break after it came out, and I went to Macy's, and a crowd of people started surrounding me, going, Lilly, Lilly, Regina. I was going, how do they know my name?
Mm.
I was like, oh, uh, and feeling a bit overwhelmed by it. Uh,
Mm.
I was raised to be, I guess, uh, uh, a bit self-effacing, um, to receive things with humbleness rather than, and a bit of, I quite frankly, I don't know that I deserve this um, type of recognition. Yes.
Yeah, well, you are deserving of the recognition. So what after you had the experience with the playing Minigene, then you went on to play your next role. Was that Miss Carter for Lean on Me?
No, I went on, and like I said, I starred for a while. Once I got to New York,
Okay,
reality.
there you go. Here you go. All right, you had a major role, you had a role, and then you go and it's like, oh, here, reality hits, right? I gotta find
Exactly.
more work.
Oh, oh, mom, my rent's 250, but I don't know if I can make it this month.
Oh, life of an actor, I tell you.
Oh man, I did all sorts of odd jobs, temp agency, uh, a lot because you could go in, get these jobs, and they didn't care if you came in the next day. So you could go in and audition the next day if you needed to, or if you got a job, then you could like take uh, take off and do what you needed to do. So I did a lot of odd jobs, dog walking, house sitting, house cleaning. I put up those signs along the wall at night because you weren't supposed to, these advertising for different shows.
Oh,
That
the flyers and promo flyers. Huh?
Yes, yes, yes. I'd be sticking those on the paint, gluing those on the wall, hoping the cops didn't see me, shows that I wasn't cast. And it was a lot of fun. I had the best time starving in New York. And then I got into this company, at the public theater, Joseph Papp's public theater. Um, and Uh, they did a lot of Shakespeare, and at that point, they were doing what was at that point very new colorblind casting.
Mm,
So I started getting in and doing auditions there from a casting director I met while I was still in school. Um, she did a class, an auditioning class, and afterwards she said, whenever you come to New York, give me a call. So years later, I gave her a call, and she started like, you keep that card, you make these connections, and you follow through. You never know. Some people, say yeah, yeah, and then they never answer their phone.
mm,
But this was real. She believed in me, and she started bringing me in for all these auditions. So I started with the public theater. I did um, Spear Carrier #1. You stand around the stage.
so that was your credit?
Uh-huh. Yes. And then I got to understudy a play called Map of the World that was starring Alfre Woodard. First time I met Alfre. I was
Wow.
her understudy for that play. And then I got into this company, multiracial company, and we were doing 3 plays. We did All's Well That Ends Well. We did Macbeth and Romeo and Juliet. And we traveled uh, not the Delacorte in Central Park, but we did all the other parks in New York or surrounding New York, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Staten Island. We were there, and I did that for about a year and a half, and I played all these little roles and started building myself up to larger roles. So I started Romeo and Juliet.
Mm,
I played one of the witches in Macbeth, into Celia for As You Like It, and then I started with Romeo and Juliet. I played Jack. Oh no, his name was Peter. His name was Peter, and I was so into it. I shaved my hair all off, so I could look like Peter. I was really into
so,
it.
oh, see, now you go into the whole thing. So not a classically trained actress. So you're doing roles roles on in
Yeah,
theater and Macbeth and Romeo and Juliet, As You Like It.
yes.
I mean, things that are super, like you have to train for years to do that.
Yes, yes. Well, I had trained, after that TV movie, I went back and I trained.
Oh, you
I
went to the
trained.
lab after that. Okay, you went to training
Yes. So
after that.
I didn't just, that was like early on in my college career. I think it was my
Okay,
second year. I changed majors and I started studying acting.
so that
So
easy A turned into like, here, you're going to study this.
yeah, after I got that film, yes, after I got the
I can
TV
make
movie, I said, I'm gonna be an actor. Now I'm gonna be an actor. That's what I told you. People thought I'd lost my mind. My family was like
a.
wasting Lionel Taylor's, that's my mom's name. Wasting Lionel Taylor's hard-earned money on what? Study what?
uh,
My parents believed in me. So I there I was. Off to New York City, uh, trying to build some credit. Got into this company doing Shakespeare. Started with Romeo and Juliet playing Peter, who had I think 2 lines. One of them was "Hang 'em, Jack." Hang
mm,
'em, Jack. Maybe those were the 2 lines. Hang 'em.
mhm.
And I was committed. I was saying there are no small roles. You commit to everything. That's why I shaved my hair off. I was gonna be like the best Peter ever. So uh, I was
How did you get the
so
role of Peter? Because you have there's
I,
that blows my mind. How did you get the role of Peter?
I was happy to have Peter. I was lucky to have
But I mean, I mean, people are just getting okay with saying, okay, here you can play a different gender role or do something else. But
Yeah,
then
yeah.
that was a whole confused. Like,
Well, I was
no.
playing in one play. I was playing Celia, who's the lead's baby sister, and in the other play, Macbeth, I was playing one of the witches, And then in Romeo and Juliet, and this was all being done in a rep. So
Wow.
we would go every third day, would be switching plays. So I'd be playing these different roles throughout the week. And yeah, one of them, I played Celia. I played I played uh, Witch number one, and then I played Peter in the other play in these three
Wow.
plays.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah. So with Peter, Hang 'em Jack, I would stay after rehearsal. Okay, I would
Mhm.
stay after rehearsal and practice that line.
Your two
Hang
lines.
'em Jack, hang 'em Jack, hang them Jack. You know, what's the best way? What's the best way? What's the approach? So I could be
Oh
the
my
best speaker.
gosh.
So what happened with that was um, uh, the head of the theater, Joseph Papp, sometimes he'd sneak in to rehearsals and watch. And you would not necessarily see him, but you would smell his cigar.
Mm.
So I was there after rehearsal, hang 'em Jack, and I smell a cigar and I'm looking around the theater. And then I look up into the rafters and he's there watching me.
Mm.
He thought, this is a committed actress. Been watching my growth over this time, from spear carrier to understudy to these various roles. Uh, and he approved me playing. Once we did the year and a half traveling around, we landed on a Broadway stage, the Belasco Theater.
Wow.
Uh, and we were doing Romeo and Juliet uh, on Broadway. And I was chosen to do Juliet on Broadway. Um, uh, I was then as my claim to fame at that point was to be the first Black woman to play Juliet on Broadway.
Wow. Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Hard work, determination,
Yeah, yeah.
determination.
You can't write this story any better. That like you were prepared for the opportunity. When the opportunity came, he's like, I'm gonna play whatever role y'all gonna make me play, but I'm gonna do it the best that I can
Exactly,
do it.
exactly.
And they and
Fully,
they and they
fully.
recognize it and they saw it. Then
Yes.
then comes I'll Fly Away, right?
Yes.
Maybe not that easy transition, but it came after.
That took a little while longer. Yes, yes. I started traveling around doing Shakespeare in different cities. I did my first movie role that made it was Lean on Me, uh, and the first one that I actually did was a film with Al Pacino, uh, where I had a scene with him, but that was cut. Uh, yes, yes, I
Yeah,
told
yeah.
all I told
This is a
everybody.
whole story. Like you had Henry Fonda, Al Pacino. You were with the best of the best early on. That's
Oh man,
insane.
Henry Fonda never saw me. I never spoke to him, but yes, yes, it was the agent that saw me and said, "What are you doing?" I never actually spoke to him, but yes, I had a scene with Henry Fonda. It was Ellen Barkin and and I'm sorry, Ellen Barkin and Al Pacino in this film, and uh, my scene was with him. I told everybody, I'm going to be in this major film. Went to go see the film, and I was cut.
Well, hey, folks, understand that happens in Hollywood. That happens
It
in
happened.
in film business. You may film a role, and it may not be in a movie. So wait till it
Exactly.
comes out to tell your friends.
That was
That-
that was the lesson. Yes. Yes. So yes, the major breakthrough uh, was then I'll Fly Away. Yes.
So how did that happen? Did you end up, you have an agent? Did you figure the business out, or was it referrals of all the people? It seems like you find a way to be in the right place at the right time, and
Uh,
you're prepared for it.
you make yourself prepared for any opportunity. When the opportunity arrives, then yes, it's kind of like that double dutching. You're ready to jump right in.
Mm,
And that's how I felt with this role anyhow. The role of Lilly Harper, um, this woman of late 1950s civil rights movement era uh, housekeeper working for, and Sam Waterston uh, playing opposite Sam Waterston in this piece about our history in this country, and how with this character I brought in a lot of my history with
mm,
my uh, myself, my grandmother, my mother, my aunts, housekeepers. Uh, they were field laborers. They were housekeepers. Uh, my mother became a teacher, and I brought in their spirits, the spirits of my ancestors, to this role that gave me the opportunity with wonderful writing, gave me the opportunity to show the complexity of
mm,
this woman. Usually, we would see in historically stereotypes, we would see her hands, we would see her back, we would see uh, her attitude. Uh,
mm,
and here, um, what drew me to the script immediately was at the very top of each show, you saw into her mind, that you started each episode with her diary that shared her hopes, her disappointments, her loves, her hatred, her uh, fears. Um, so I went, oh wow, I have not seen this before,
mm.
and certainly I wanted to bring my full authentic self to that with all of my history to that role.
Wow. And
And
so,
you saw her mature, and you saw her with a man, so she wasn't desexed. You know,
right, right.
you saw her in her community. You saw her with her girlfriends. You saw her with her father. You saw her with her daughter. So you had these different sides of this woman. Um,
Yeah,
so
that was the interesting thing, that the role, you talk about, like you normally see that role, and it's so singular. There is no, you know growth to it. There is no, imagination around it. That you don't see the whole person. You see, this is their job, or this is what they do, and that's it. But
right,
you're playing with Sam Waterston. There knows Law and Order, the long career of this gentleman, and that's
yeah.
early on. But you're beside him, or you're lead role, and you're the focal point, pretty much of this whole show.
And there's this arc of personal and political development in her that you saw her becoming involved in the civil rights movement, becoming a foot soldier in that. Yeah, I found it really exciting to be a part of.
So was that deliberate from the writers, or did you have any say in what went on
Oh,
with what was
yeah,
happening with that? Oh, you had a lot to say.
I had my opinion.
So,
I most
yeah,
certainly
that's beautiful. So I know that they gave you the onus of saying, here, you're coming into yourself as an actor, and like understanding the space, and all the other roles, from Courage Under Fire, and hang with the Spike Lee Clockers, and all those other films. How did that evolve from that role into what you did after that? Like, where was it? I'm going to pick my roles and choose my path, or was it Did you see a change in how the opportunities for Black actresses was changing?
Yes, I can't say that my career was built on my choosing what I did or did not want to do. Uh, I would say it was a blend of timing, opportunity, circumstances, uh, and tenacity. Uh, it was then um, uh, being placed in these moments where, and every person has their own path. What is yours is for you, and I say those things that is not for you is not for you. Um, as simple as that, and um, I'm good with that. I would say I think in my earlier years, specifically, I was more of a flower child in mindset. You
Yeah, it
keep going
changes.
with the flow.
It changes. Yeah, yeah.
But also in being a writer, that being another part of my life, uh, then with that, I am consciously creating stories, creating um, worlds and people uh, that uh, that you can steer, you choose what stories you want to tell, and then you find that space that's in agreement that will produce it, um,
Hmm.
or produce it yourself is also what I'm finding. Stepping into that role as well. So uh, it it gives me an opportunity to make certain choices uh, as uh, uh, um, blending this world of being a creative to create is the mission purpose, whether I am uh, acting, writing, directing, producing. It gives you a wonderful range. And with me, it's given me the opportunity of growing and a sense of being in this for the long haul, the long distance, longevity.
Well, that's interesting that you bring this up, and I would love I could talk to you for another 2 hours, but coming towards the end of the show, I want to talk about you looking back on your career and where you are now, and now that you've been involved in the First Lady, the new series, and all these things you're
Yes.
doing. Did do you look back now and say, wow, I've you know, gone beyond my dreams of what I thought that, I was going to do, when I first went into that first acting class. Do you look back and say, I love this journey, or is it, you still have a lot more to do?
Oh, I still have a lot more to do. Most certainly, a lot more that I want to do. Certainly, this has been so great to be a part of this company, uh, head, headed by Viola Davis as actress and producer. That to have the opportunity to play with this ferocious, um, beautiful actress, and this company that she is playing Michelle Obama, interwoven with Eleanor Roosevelt, Gillian Anderson, and Michelle Pfeiffer playing Betty Ford. That you have this wealth of talent throughout
They did a
this series.
phenomenal job. I marvel at the acting that those ladies have put forward. That all the put forward. It's. Well, I watched the first 3 episodes of the series, and it's amazing.
Yes, yes, and they're all different time periods. Uh, Women who are fighting for uh, defining themselves and having a voice of their own, holding on to that, who are going outside the boundaries of expectation. Um, they're renegades. They
Mm.
are people who are, uh, yes, inventing, reinventing themselves and shining a light from their platform, First Lady, a light on uh, others who may be voiceless. To help other people in their journeys, involved in civil rights, social justice, health, um, both mentally and physically. Um, each one had to uh, fight for their voices, and that struggle continues today for women of color, uh, in this country and all over. So to see that in the show is, I think, very enlightening. Um, yes, very illuminating.
So, well, phenomenal. And I want to leave with this. I'm so impressed and so honored to have this opportunity to speak with you and explore all your accomplishments. I want to give you the opportunity before we leave is to talk to the next Regina Taylor, the next young lady that aspires to be where you are and aspires to have a career or that you have had or and continue to have. What advice would you give to the next young lady that's coming up that says, you know, my parents think I'm crazy, but this is something I really want to do?
Yes, I know that my mother taught me how to dream, and I know, single mother, um, walk to school every day, West Dallas projects. Um, that recently I went back to it wasn't my old school. They rebuilt it in a different location. So it's the new LG Pinkston in West Dallas. And they invited me back for the honor of the naming of the Fine Arts Wing with my name. Now, when I used to walk every day through the West Dallas projects, what was the West Dallas projects, uh, dreaming, uh, head to the sky, uh, what might I become? Uh, what goals might I set for myself? Who do I want to be? And knowing that I needed to have the dream. People can't tell you. Uh, you have to have that dream that sets you, propels you through this world. Um, I think I try to keep my dreams simple, try and find things that I might be able to accomplish. And kept running into opportunities and challenges that stretched my own imagination. And it was uh, with that spirit of, if you don't take this risk, you'll never know, even
Mm.
beyond what you might think you're capable of doing and being. Each time, that was the challenge for me in my journey, was going beyond my own boundaries of what I expected I could do, even though I was encouraged to dream big. You want to accomplish some things.
Mhm.
what,
Right.
what you can accomplish. Let's try and do that. Let's start with that. But
Yes.
it's been a series of things that, um, and going back to the school, I could never have imagined as I was walking through, um, trying not to get beat up on to school for the day. I was a
to,
quiet, sensitive one.
to,
Uh, uh,
to be where you are now.
but
It's
yeah, to come full circle, back to that place where it was built right across the street from where I was born. The
mm,
rebuild was right across the street from where I was born, which moved me. Um, and to have a very different perspective of self and the world.
well,
To be open, stay open. Yes.
there's no bigger honor, and I call that a mic drop, take a bow moment, and that is the most beautiful way to close. When you walk as a young girl, scared, that people are going to take advantage of you, and you come back years later in the street, and you have a place named after you. Like there is I love it, I love it, and you inspired so many. And I thank you so much for being on the show. And I think it's going to be a journey, and you'll see the next young lady that's been many people that are inspired by you and what you've done. So continue to be that light shining, and we appreciate you being on Know Better, Do Better. Thank you so much, Miss Regina
And
Taylor.
I appreciate you and your message. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one, y'all. See you later.